right, and so today I want to present why I think online education is better than traditional education. So let me get my PowerPoint up and going. All right, this is difficult. I always have trouble with this. There we go. Everybody see that?
Yep.
Yep.
All right, let me minimize you guys on this side because you guys are hiding my notes. All right, so my name is Mike Hamlet, and today I'm going to talk about online education versus traditional education and why I think online education is better than traditional education. I'm going to do that by telling you a little bit about my story. And so my story is, why did I decide at the age of 35 and after the birth of our second child, did I decide to go back to college? Well, I work in video production for one of the largest nonprofits in the country. The video team that I am on is part of the larger marketing department. And after several years, I concluded that I could do a better job than other people in this area. And the chief marketing officer actually agreed with me on this point when I brought it up to her. But with my busy schedule, I felt that an online degree was my best option because it was more convenient and cheaper than traditional education. For those who might not comprehend what online education is, allow me to elaborate. Online education is a form of education where students use their home computers through the internet. For many non-traditional students, among them all those who want to continue working full-time or raising families, like myself, online courses have become popular in the past decade. Often, online course programs are conducted using digital technologies that are provided via the online learning portal of the host university. So how have we got to this point in time? Well, the internet has grown from being nearly non-existent into the largest, most accessible database of information ever created. Technology is changing the way people communicate, shop, socialize, do business, and now learning. Online education is changing the face of traditional classrooms and making education more accessible than ever before. So a few examples of online education programs are 100% online education, where fully online degrees are earned from the comfort of your own home with no required visits to your college or university campus. This is hugely attractive for my schedule and everything. Hybrid education. Hybrid education allows students to pursue a combination of online and on-campus courses. Online courses. While online courses may be part of the overall degree program, they can also be taken on their own in order to master a certain subject or learn a specific skill. MOOCs, or massive open online courses, are usually delivered in lecture form to online classrooms with as many as 10,000 people. After knowing my options, I asked myself, is an online degree just as good as a traditional learning degree? While online degrees are new to many, accreditation provides the backing needed to prove that your degree is legitimate. Potential employers and higher education institutions will recognize your degree and it will open doors for your future. Just some of the advantages of online education are: online courses are convenient and offer flexibility. They can work around work, family, and other activities. The ability to take on other jobs. The additional job opportunities act in the manner of additional income for the online learner. In addition, it also has been seen that the adoption of online learning allows the learners to continue with their existing jobs, like me. They're cost effective and they save time. In conclusion, online courses and degree programs are more convenient and cheaper than their counterparts in traditional education. Those are the two main advantages of online learning that led many students to opt for online platforms when they want to earn a degree or certificate. Online education provides an opportunity to fundamentally rethink how best to do education. Online education is helping to break the educational barrier for working students, working adults, and for post-high school kids where traditional college is too expensive. All these options are why I chose the University of Memphis online program over the traditional educational experience. Thank you. All right, that was me.
Great.
Okay, guess that means it's my turn. Can everybody see my screen? Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
In 2020, COVID-19 virus drastically affected how schools were able to educate their students, many of whom switched to an online delivery for class and education. While this migration was a necessary one, traditional education is still an essential building block for the foundation of learning. Traditional education is better equipped to provide a sufficient learning environment, build interpersonal development, as well as reduce the demands of resources for its students. For the learning environments, traditional education provides not only expensive resources a student might not be able to receive on their own, it also provides dedicated learning spaces. It has a set schedule. You have access to hands-on learning. Some fields of study, such as medicine or sciences, are not able to fully integrate into an online environment because they still require a physical or hands-on approach to many of its learning skills. In traditional education, students are more able to access these resources, including other classmates and their instructor. For interpersonal development, classrooms encourage group projects. You're able to readily access the people to bounce off ideas. You're able to more effectively get clarification and interpretation from your professor, instructor, teacher, or perhaps even, just your neighbor. You're able to have a collaborative learning environment. If you don't understand what's being taught necessarily, but you don't have your own words to understand or ask a question, there's a good likelihood that someone else in your class does and will ask that question, and the information will be available to you. It's also easier for both the student and the instructor to enforce academic honesty. In most online courses, tests, quizzes, homework is supervised via proxy, which is very easy at this time to circumvent. With access to other students in class, as well as the instructor, students are able to gain a better understanding of their course and each other. Having non-material resources like classmates, the burden of giving feedback is shared. On the topic of personal resources, traditional education takes a lot of the management of your education off of your shoulders. They have a set schedule, they have dedicated learning spaces, they have dedicated recreational spaces, which can be hard to provide if you are working from home, schooling from home, or also the sole care provider for your children, perhaps an aged parent. As well as the difficulty of managing both your work life, your school life, and your personal life all on your own resources. Traditional educational programs also provide things that might not be as readily available but still essential to learning, such as stable internet access, counseling services. A lot of primary education programs have meal services or meal cost services, as well as providing exercise and the ability to just get up and move around. Communication skills are also an important factor for traditional versus online, as traditional education enforces the building of communication skills, which is essential for online. But if a student does not already have those skills, it can be detrimental to their class or even deteriorate those skills as they're no longer able to utilize them efficiently. While online education has advanced significantly, traditional education is still more apt to provide sufficient environment, interpersonal connections for students, as well as relieve the financial and intellectual burdens of the students for their education, making it an essential tool for learning.
Good. Mia. I guess that means I'm next. Oh, I'm sorry, y'all. I had it up. Did I lose you all? Can you all
No,
see that?
no,
No.
I haven't seen it pop up yet, no.
You haven't seen it pop up?
Yeah, no.
Still not?
Have you see the big green share screen button?
I've hit share twice.
And then after you click it, you clicked on your PowerPoint.
Because I see it, which is no good, right?
Once you hit share
hit-
screen and you
I'm
pick,
sorry. There we go. I think that's it.
there, yep, there it goes.
Okay,
We see it now.
here we go. Okay, sorry about that, y'all. I'm Sabrina, and I'll be presenting Pro Online. Due to the coronavirus pandemic, students worldwide from kindergarten to doctorate level were forced with online learning as their only choice to continue their studies. Because traditional learning was halted by the CDC for health and safety reasons. As a result, the debate of online learning versus traditional learning becomes increasingly significant and valuable for the current and prospective student. With the choice being taken away by a dreadful pandemic, online education saved millions of learners from going 12 or more months from being deprived of academic progress. Because of online education offering flexibility of time and place, it will increasingly be the choice over traditional education for a continually increasing number of students. In the United States overall, enrollment in online courses has increased steadily over the last decade. In 2000, only 6% of post-secondary students in the United States took an online course. By 2017, the latest data from the United States Department of Education show this percentage had risen 33%. When time and location are the two major factors in the decision-making process for academic options, online education excels over traditional education. Let us explore the time or flexibility factor. We all have the same 24 hours in a day, and we all choose to use those 24 hours differently. Our family time, work schedules, eating and sleeping routines, and even extracurricular activities are weighed and considered. Likewise, the amount of time one spends getting an education must be calculated for those who are and will choose to be students. In other words, it must fit into the schedule of the student. With online learning, 45 minutes of a 1-hour lunch break, or 2 hours at a child's academic or athletic competition, or even 3 hours while everyone in the house is sleeping, can be an opportunity to continue online courses. Online learning allows students to distribution of their priorities that require time allocation. Time commitment is crucial, and the flexibility in online learning gives present students the opportunity to access and participate at their own convenience. In other words, at any time plays a major role in the choice of online learning. Location, location, location is not just a selling phrase that realtors boast to their prospective clients. The location of anywhere is the second major factor in appeal to online education. Desktop computers, laptops, tablets, and smartphones are all examples of devices that make online education free from a specific location. No commute necessary, which also saves time, which is the first major factor. Students can log in and complete assignments, study material, do research, watch a lecture, participate in class discussion, and check their progress and other tasks necessary from wherever they are. Adult learning theory suggests that sound instructional design can be utilized to ensure that people of varying educational backgrounds can learn from the same course. This principle and application of universal design should always be facilitative to the learning of those experiencing intermediate health symptoms. Online content can be reviewed repeatedly by the learner if desired, at one's own pace, for lengths of time chosen by the learner, and online courses have benefits over traditional classroom presentations for people with attention and concentration challenges. Students in holistically designed and developed study programs generally appreciate the predictability and consistency in experience at several levels. Implemented well, they are easy to use and fundamental technology, well-organized student support, constant communication and clear expectations, streamlined processes, and digital skills developed to enable those to fully participate in online programs. This is material provided at various and appropriate stages during the studies. And if all these prerequisites are in place, Students know what they sign up for. They have the technology to participate fully, and they receive the necessary support and training to do well in their online studies. Online education has location of anywhere as a key component for students who need it. In conclusion, and on a personal note, online education just this semester has allowed me to continue my education through the loss of a loved one, my health issues, overtime at work, and lots of other issues of life. I have personally completed tasks on various electronic devices and completed assignments in various places and at various times. Online learning has afforded me that opportunity, and traditional education cannot because of the anytime and anywhere factors. Just like me, students with time and location as major factors in their academic method of choice will choose online education as well. Today's technologies afford current and prospective students the choice to learn with flexibility in time and location. Thank you.
You're muted, Jacob. You're muted.
Good now? Okay. Thank you, Mike. So my name is Jacob Bray, and missed that, but I'm going to talk about the traditional education side of things and what HIT has to offer as compared to what you can't really get out of an online college experience. So whenever you graduate from high school, you are told about college and how you're going to meet new people and you're going to try new things and you're going to go through experiences that are going to make you uncomfortable. And you got to go through uncomfortable in life to get more comfortable. And so that first starts, and I remember coming into college from your orientation, you meet hardly anyone that really is from your high school, and you just see the diversity that comes from the university spectrum. And that's where you start to notice the real world is just like this, where you're going to get thrown into a bunch of unknown variables, but it's all there to make you prepared for life. And so for me, you go to these orientations and then you also discover these camps. And I actually went to a camp known as Frosh Camp, where I met a handful of people that I still talk to the end of my senior year. And if it wasn't for that, I wouldn't have learned as much social skills that would have allowed me to be more comfortable around others. And then whenever you want to try new things, the first 2 weeks of school on campus is loaded with the information fairs and then meeting with the student organizations around campus, whether you want to get involved with some sort of social clubs as if it were Greek life, or if you want to get involved with the multicultural side, or even an educational group side of things, you'll meet many new people and experience new things along the way. And the biggest thing that I learned coming in freshman year was time management. Though both sides, online and traditional, require great development in your time management, I had to learn to balance working a 30-hour week job while taking 18 hours and then being a part of a fraternity, and then also being a part of another student organization that raised money for St. Jude. So I did all of those things within the first month of my college experience on campus while living in a dorm. And I wouldn't have been able to do it if I didn't have the resources provided around me, and then told myself that I needed to sit down and figure out what I'm doing. Because as soon as I came on the campus, you realize you have so much free time to do anything that you want to do. But in those times where you have free time, you need to make the most of it. And so if that means having to sit down and read 3 chapters of any sort of classroom material, then that's what you have to do. That's what you have to learn to do. So also being on campus leads for more involvement in your education and your future. And what I mean by this is, when I have attended the Fogelman College of Business, We have plenty of meet the firm events or intern/job fair opportunities. And this is where you could actually be in person to meet firms and actually show your face to them and shake their hand and give them your resume and show them how forthcoming you are to what you want to do with your college experience and what you want afterwards as well. So I know in the past semester and two, there have been invites for Zoom meet the firms events. I mean, it just, though you're meeting the firms and you're learning about them, you don't have as much of an impact for yourself if you want to make your name known out there. And so this also leads into being offered career and real life workshops for the corporate world. I know that Fogelman College of Business had offered classes on how to properly conduct a resume or how to conduct an interview and like what to expect whenever you've graduated and you go into an interview, what you need to say, what you need to know, and then just all sorts of small things that you wouldn't necessarily see on the online side of schooling. And then the next thing I ask is, are you getting out what you put into it? Because I had multiple experiences throughout my college experience where I had to tell others that they complained they weren't getting the education that they thought they were going to be provided. But that really just comes out to what are you going to do about it yourself? And the same thing comes through with online school as well. As like, do you want to put forth all this time and effort to actually get more out of it? Like if you put forth 80%, then you should expect to get back 80% more. But it's all about making the most while on campus. So the next thing I go into, it kind of leads to how is it cost efficient? And so the way I talk about this, not only the tuition differences, it depends per university. But I know whenever I first came into college, taking online classes was an extra, perhaps it depended on the course, but an extra $1,000 or so. But it's kind of being knocked down since then just because of dealing with the pandemic and everyone's evolving with it. But I've always seen us taking in-person classes as more cost efficient because you pay for less and then you also can get more out of it where you're learning directly from the professor, because some online classes that I've taken, I never had a professor speak to me once, or they sent the email at the beginning and then didn't remind you of tests and that was it. So imagine being a freshman in college, just coming straight into that role where you don't know how to handle the responsibilities of what someone who's a lot older and mature and they know how to set aside time to do it. It's just very different. And so that goes as comparison to self-taught versus the classroom setting. Whenever I came into college, I really was only used to the classroom setting. And so I had to have a classroom and a professor that read off the slides. And that way I wrote the notes right then and there. And then even as I've gotten farther down, I've done about half of my college at this point online, and teaching myself is just not as effective, I feel like, as just being in a classroom and listening to the professor, and then also just having that social interaction with other students just so you can get help from them when you need to. The last thing to talk about is the younger generation's attitude. People in my generation, we've learned that humans want the quickest thing here and there and now, and we don't want to wait on anything. So I've heard or met multiple students that they take online courses or prefer online courses because they're easier to just not put in as much work as if you were in a classroom setting. You can just sit down, and I know people that just look up answers online and whatnot. And there have been studies that show that though online classes typically achieve higher grades, there's just outside variables that cause that. And it's just something to look into. But the biggest thing, whereas I'm coming up on graduation, I thought about when you're 20 years down the road and whatnot, if you don't have to go back to college, it's all dependent upon the person. But 20 years down the line, when you look back, do you want to just say that you took online courses and didn't gain much on the social spectrum of things, but you got the degree as you go to college for? Or do you want to say, 20 years ago, I was very involved on campus and met a lot of friends that I still talk to and still have bonds and connections to this day that helped me set myself up where I've gotten in the real world now. And then you can accredit your college experience to that. That's all I have to say.
Very good.